Hello and a very warm welcome along to Sportsbet TV and Paul Alster here with your horse racing tips for day two of Royal Ascot. And we're hoping that the weather is still set fair. Certainly they're telling us it's going to be another very nice day. The ground expected to have been quick on Tuesday. I say expected to have been because this bulletin is being recorded Tuesday lunchtime before we know how our day one four selections have gone on. So I'm still in the dark as to whether or not we're in profit or loss after day one. If you're new to the service, we're a service that look to provide big odds selections. So you don't need to have too much money on the occasions when we do hit them. We've hit really big with long odds individual winners at odds like 66 and even 80 to 1. And of course, we had a huge treble just a few weeks ago at four-figure odds. So regular supporters are undoubtedly quids in. I won't be tipping any short prices whatsoever during the course of Royal Ascot. But that means that it is a challenge to try and find horses that are good enough to win. They are big odds because the chances of them winning are, in theory, less obvious. Well, as I say, we don't know what happened day one, so I'm going to move straight on to day two. I've dispensed with the tie, I'm afraid. The semi-smart look didn't last very long. I'm back to my old tricks, a bit of in a shabby state, but hopefully you'll put up with that as we look forward to what promises to be another very good day's racing, and we're anticipating that the going is still going to be on the quick side, and the thunderstorms that are forecast are meant to come in maybe Wednesday night, Thursday morning, so we'll know more before our next bulletin. Well, day two at Royal Ascot, and four races I'm focusing on once again. Now, the first is the opening race of the day. The Queen Mary Stakes is a Group 2 event for two-year-old fillies, and there are set to be 22 runners on the straight course, a real cavalry charge. Now, as so often at Royal Ascot, and particularly at this early stage of the meeting, we're not clear if there is a draw bias. There is a feeling that the middle to high numbers are going to be favoured on the straight course, and I kind of concur with that, but you just never know. You just never know. In the first race, this Queen Mary Stakes, there are two American raiders. Now, the American juveniles are bred to really have huge amounts of speed, and Wesley Ward does so well with his sprinters at Royal Ascot, and he's won this Queen Mary Stakes 3 times. He's got one called Twilight Gleaming, who at the time of this recording, Tuesday lunchtime, is 100 to 30 favourite best odds. A horse that won at Belmont Park over 6.5 lengths it won by. There's also George Arnold, another good American trainer, sent over a horse called Artos, who won by a short head at Churchill Downs over 5.5 furlongs. He's around the 7 to 1, 15 to 2 mark. It really is so hard to equate that kind of American sprint form with the form from Britain and Ireland. And they may well be good enough, especially over the 5 furlongs rather than the longer distances, the 6 furlongs, which sometimes the American horses, their sprinters run out of steam. Now, because I don't know too much about them and I can't equate the form, I'm not going to go with them. Aidan O'Brien has a very interesting runner in the shape of Yet, who just beat Orinoco River at Dundalk earlier in the season on the all-weather. Apparently a very nice sort of a horse. Donica trains Orinoco River, both of them quite likely to figure. Another Irish raider is Ken Condon's Quick Susie, who I've seen quite a few times during the season, covering the Irish racing as I do. And one that could well outrun its odds is Tommy Stack's runner, Cheer Up Sleepy Jean, who didn't run her race really last time out and quite well fancied for a good contest, but had previously looked quite useful. Now, of the British runners, the York winner Nymphadora, the Sandown winner Beautiful Sunshine, and Desert Dreamer, who's won twice at Newmarket, are all quite likely to be there or thereabouts. And there are a host of other juveniles that could improve markedly from their first runs and be completely different propositions to that we've seen so far. So in some respects, we really are shooting in the dark here in these juvenile races. But there was one horse that really took my eye in a recent outing, Catterick, of all places, Catterick. And the horse in question is called Illustrating, trained by Carl Burke, and the mount of Danny Tudhope, I tipped two of his horses for the Tuesday bulletin. I picked this one out even without checking who the jockey was at first, and sure enough, Danny Tudhope is the man, so I'm expecting him to do quite well in the first 2 days of the meeting. Now, Illustrating, trained at Middleham at Spigot Lodge by Carl Burke, who of course is a top-class trainer when he gets the material. This is a filly by Showcasing, and the dam Maid's Causeway, some of you may remember, going back to around 2004, 2005, she was second in the 1,000 guineas, and she went on to win the Coronation Stakes when it was run at York, and I was actually returning the SPs at that meeting at York. A very, very memorable Royal Ascot at York when all the stand was being built and other changes were being made at Royal Ascot. So Illustrating is bred to be a very smart performer. Now, she only made her debut just a few days ago on June the 4th at Catterick in a 5-furlong contest, and she travelled like a really good horse. Now, in the race, down to the furlong pole, there were two previous winners duelling for the lead, but she just swept by them, literally as if they were stood still, and her jockey really didn't have to move at all. It was just hands and heels, and she won easily. Now, I think she could easily be very useful. The third horse there, Misty Air, is set to run on Wednesday in the Queen Mary, and it's another one that could go really quite well at a price because she was staying on very nicely in the closing stages. Illustrating is drawn 9, and I think that's probably a decent draw, more or less towards the centre, so she can follow the pace. And at the time of this recording, 12 to 1 offered each way with a number of firms for at least 5 places. I know Sky Bet will go 7 places on the race, but shop around. I saw one or two of the comments after my day one bulletin, and I appreciate a lot of what's been said about some of the firms not giving the best odds guaranteed and others paying more places. To be honest, there are so many differentials between firms, and if you're new to the betting world, then I would just say it's just like when you go to a market. You know, you don't buy the first fruit and veg you see on the first stall. You look around and you compare like for like, and you'll often find some firms offering bigger odds, other offering better place terms, others offering best priced guaranteed, best odds guaranteed, and it's your choice. That's something I've got to leave in your hands. I can only point you in the direction of the horses I think are likely to run well, and then it's up to you to make your decisions. Now, 12 to 1, I think each way is a pretty solid price about Illustrating, and I'd be very hopeful she's going to run a big race. Now, I just want to mention one other horse in this race. I'm not tipping the horse, but I'm just saying one to keep an eye on is Jazzy Princess, who I tipped a few weeks ago when she made her debut as an unraced juvenile at Beverley in a good race called the Hilary Needler Stakes. Now, to be honest, she was clueless in the first half of the race. She fell out of the stall. She was slowly away. She was all over the show. And it was only at the 2 furlong pole that we saw the penny beginning to drop. And she started to really pick up, eventually coming through into 6th, beaten about 8 lengths on the face of it, with absolutely no chance in this company. But I find it interesting that Robert Cowell, her trainer, is taking her to Ascot. Obviously, her owner's Cool Silk partnership light runners at this meeting, but they have had success a number of times at Royal Ascot. And I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Jazzy Princess at 3-figure odds finish in the first half of the field at least. So just one for you to take a look at and maybe keep an eye on during the race. But my main selection here, of course, is Illustrating. Now I take you on to the 3:05 race, which is the Group 2 Queen's Vase. It's over 1 3/4 miles, due off at 3:05 on Wednesday, and there are 15 3-year-olds set to run. Now, this is a race that really has been dominated by Aidan O'Brien. He's won 5 of the last 10 renewals, and he's got 3 runners in this year's race, including Wordsworth, who, having had a look at the markets this morning, Tuesday morning, is a little bit uneasy. His favourite now from 5 to 2 out to 3 to 1. Won at the Curragh over 10 furlongs, and then was a next second in a 1.5 furlong listed race at Navan. Sure to be very much on the premises and a likely sort. But looking at the betting, it's very lopsided. They're going best price 3 to 1, and then 9 to 1 bar in a Group 2. Yeah, really strange betting. Aidan also has Arturo Toscanini, who was second on heavy ground in a Group 3, to a good horse of Johnny Murtagh's called Earlswood in the Gallinew Stakes at the Curragh. That was over 10 furlongs, and he'll probably stay. Joseph O'Brien has Ruling, who's a maiden with solid form and has run well in listed company in Ireland at up to 12 furlongs. And Joseph O'Brien also saddles Benno, who's quite an eye-catching runner. He won at Naas in one of those rated races over 1.25 miles and shapes as if he's open to improvement. Now, Mark Johnston has also done well in this race over the years. He's got Dancing King, who's 4 from 4 in handicaps this season. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see him run a solid race. He's also got a Golden Chime, I think it's called. I can't read my own writing. And that one I'd be less sure about. And then we've got John Gosden with Stowell. And he's also got Law of the Sea. But I'm not convinced by either of those, especially as I mentioned in the first bulletin of the week, having heard John Gosden be a little uncertain about the quality of his 3-year-olds this season. Now, those that follow me regularly will maybe recall that back at Lingfield in May, I tipped a horse called KYPRIOS in the Derby trial, and I'm tipping him again. He is the third of Aidan O'Brien's runners, trained by Aidan O'Brien, and the mount of Seamie Heffernan. Now, KYPRIOS didn't run well that day. He was 4th in the Lingfield Derby trial. He just didn't run his race, whether it was the track, very undulating track, whether he just had an off day, or whether it was the soft ground that didn't suit him. I don't know. He had one on heavy on debut at Galway as a juvenile, but he shapes to me as a horse who's probably better on a sound surface overall. Now, he won that race at Galway as a 2-year-old, showing a really nice attitude. And then he was favourite but disappointed at Newmarket, another undulating track. So there's a bit of a pattern developing here. That was in the Group 3 Zetland Stakes on his second start as a juvenile. He came out and he won on his seasonal reappearance at Cork, and I really liked the way he did it in a 1.25 mile race in April. And you may recall that I mentioned in my previous bulletin back on the Lingfield Derby trial day that unusually for Ballydoyle, who tend to keep their light very much hidden under a bushel as far as the pecking order of horses is concerned there, that the winning jockey there, Seamie Heffernan, said after the Cork run of KYPRIOS, he said, and I quote, "He's right up there or just behind the best of them." That was when asked how he kind of fits into the picture of the 3-year-old colts at Aidan O'Brien's. Now, that for me was very significant. Now, he ran that poor race at Lingfield, but they certainly haven't given up on him by the looks of things. And when you see his pedigree, it's a brilliant pedigree. He's by Galileo. He's a half-brother to Free Eagle, of course, won the Prince of Wales's stakes at Royal Ascot. His full sister is Search for a Song, who stays 1.75 miles, having won 2 Group 1 Irish St Ledgers. He's also a half-brother to Sapphire, who won the Group 2 Fillies and Mares Stakes at Champions Day at Ascot. And he's a half-brother to Custom Cut, who won so many Group 2 and 3 races as well. On top of that, he's a half-brother to Falcon Flight, who won the Chester Cup a few weeks ago over 2.25 miles. So for me, there's every chance he's going to improve for stepping up to the 1.75 miles here. Now, I've noticed since I picked this horse out last night when he was a 16-1 shot, that there started to be a little bit of money, people sniffing around for KYPRIOS. And now he's down to 14-1 best price each way. And that's offered by Sky Bet for 5 places. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to see the price go, with many of them already down to 12-1. So KYPRIOS, I think, although the outsider it appears on betting at the moment of Aidan O'Brien's 3 runners, is the one for me each way in the Queen's Vase over 1.75 miles on Wednesday at 3:05. I'll move straight on. I have no tips in the 340 race or in the 420, the Prince of Wales's stakes this year. I'm moving straight on to the Royal Hunt Cup, a race whose title you've got to be very careful about when you pronounce it. It's over the straight mile, 30 runners. They're going to divide into 2, maybe 3 groups. You need luck in running. You need a draw that is hopefully not going to be against you. You need to be somewhere close to the side where the pace is best. They're betting 7-1 the field. It is a bit of a lottery. And because of that, and with your permission, I'm going to offer you 2 selections and split my stake. So instead of my notional £10 each way, on my recommendations. I'm having £5 each way on 2 of them here. Give myself 2 chances. And they're drawn on different sides of the track in order to try and accommodate any possible draw bias. Now, the first of them, I'm not going to go through all the horses that might have a chance. They've all got a chance. End of. Noel Mead is a bit of a hero for us here at Sportsbet. He, of course, trained Jeff Kidder to win for us at 80-1 at the Cheltenham Festival. The gift that keeps on giving, the wonderful Jeff Kidder. He kept doing it again and again. And Noel Mead, who's predominantly a jumps trainer, although he's a very capable flat trainer, is a very, very rare visitor to flat racing in Britain. Indeed, if I recall, he's only had 3 runners on the flat in Britain in the last 12 years. So he doesn't send them over here if he doesn't think he's got a chance. And he's got one here called Lafayette, who's drawn stall 22 towards the stand side, and the Irish champion jockey Colin Keane is on board. Now, Lafayette is a horse who's super consistent over in Ireland in good handicaps at between a mile and even up to a mile and a half. He really does stay, but he's also got a lot of speed too. And he won the Irish Lincoln over a mile on testing ground in March. He beat 23 rivals there, so big fields are no worry to him. He was then a good 4th in a race called the Habitat Handicap, which is rock-solid Irish handicap form, and that was off a £6 higher mark than the Irish Lincoln. He's also got good form on a decent surface, and I'm expecting him to run a very good race, Lafayette. I think Noel Mead has had his eye on this race since he won the Irish Lincoln. And 20-1 still on offer with Bet365. Other firms at this time on Tuesday lunchtime are shorter, but it will not surprise me once we get over the day 1 racing and the bookies start to concentrate on day 2. If we see better value on offer, would not surprise me at all if he goes 25s in places or more. So Lafayette is the first of my each way selections at this time, a 20-1 shot. My other choice is drawn low over on the far side in stall 2, and the horse concerned is called Beat Le Bon. It's trained by Richard Hannon and is ridden by the excellent Holly Doyle. Now, Beat Le Bon is a horse who really caught the eye, went absolutely flying home at Doncaster last time on good to firm ground, maybe just a little bit unlucky to finish a next second to Stunning Beauty, although I think the winner might well have found a little bit more if it had had to. But Beat Le Bon, a horse who's done very well in handicaps over the last few seasons, and you may recall it won the Golden Mile at glorious Goodwood last term. So it can really handle itself in a big field race. It's a horse that will trap the pace and then probably try and quicken up through runners from the furlong pole. And I think it has a really big chance, Beat Le Bon. And that's my other choice as I split my stakes here, 25-1 each way with Bet365 for 5 places. Again, then they turn out to be better value on offer. So the 5 o'clock, the Royal Hunt Cup on Wednesday, 2 choices, Lafayette for Noel Mead and Colin Keane, and Beat Le Bon for Holly Doyle and Richard Hannon. And then we move on to the final race of the day 2, which is the 6:10, the Kensington Palace Handicap, which over a mile on the round course. Now, there are 18 runners in this race. It's for fillies and mares only, and it's a mile on the round course. And it is very, very open indeed. The market is focusing to some degree on form on the straight course just a little while ago on a soft surface when Sir Michael Stout's Lights On just beat Ed's Walker Dream Loper. And these two are both back, and I'd say they're very closely matched on the revised terms. Now, Joseph O'Brien has an interesting runner called So I Told You, who's won twice at lowly Sligo over a mile and a quarter. So he'll stay, and he's very interesting. To go from Sligo to Royal Ascot, you've got a feeling that might be a bit of a plot. Declared interest improved at Leicester when winning last time out for Rafe Beckett. That was a really good performance, I thought. One without the jockey really having to do very much, making just about all the running. And William Haggas, doesn't like to be called Willie, William Haggas has Tomorrow's Dream, who was 4th in a Group 3 at Epsom just recently, and I thought she didn't really handle the track there. The undulations got a bit unbalanced and will possibly do a lot better on this more conventional circuit. But my choice for the final race on Wednesday is Stunning Beauty, who's trained by Godolphin Saeed bin Saror and is the mount of Sylvester de Souza, the former champion jockey. Now, I mentioned Stunning Beauty just a few moments ago for the previous race because she beat Le Bon at Doncaster, and I do think that form and that race is going to be pretty hot. And indeed, Stunning Beauty is unbeaten in Britain. She won 2 races last season, winning very, very nicely at Newmarket and Leicester. She didn't make her debut until she was a 3-year-old. And then they took her across to Dubai for the winter season, and she didn't thrive there. That's something that so often happens. And then had her first run back here and won that race at Doncaster, I thought, in really good style. Now, although Beat Le Bon was flying at the finish, it always appeared to me that her rider that day at Doncaster really felt he had all bases covered. And I do think this is a horse who could improve significantly. She might be group class. And she's by Shamadal out of Short Skirt. Now, Short Skirt, some of you may recall, won the Musidora Stakes at York, the Big Oaks trial, some while ago, went on to be 3rd in the Oaks. I think it was to Aidan O'Brien's Alexandrova, who I think she also chased home in the Yorkshire Oaks. So this is a horse with a very, very good pedigree, a proper group class pedigree. And she's in here in a handicap of what might prove to be a favourable mark. And 9-1 each way is on offer with a number of firms, including 888, Bet Victor and Ladbrokes, and a number of them are betting 5 places. I think Stunning Beauty might well send supporters home happy in the final race on day 2. So those are my 4 selections. You can go with them all, putting them in a Yankee or whatever, or just pick 1, 2, 3, whatever you choose. But whatever you choose to bet on, I wish you the very best of luck at Royal Ascot on Wednesday. And let's hope that both Wednesday's selections and, of course, those that will doubtless have run by the time you see this bulletin, those on Tuesday will have also given us a little bit of a shout and something to cheer. We shall see. Never easy at Royal Ascot. We're picking some big prices, but I've got a feeling that by the end of the week, we'll be all right and we'll be nicely ahead. So good luck for all your bets on Wednesday. Paul Alster signing off at Sportsbet. I'll be back tomorrow with more selections for Gold Cup Day. Day 3 of Royal Ascot coming up on Thursday. Bye-bye for now.